Promare is a anime film from the man behind Gurren Lagann. I've seen Gurren Lagann. It's a really over-the-top, interesting anime mecha about the, audacity of the human spirit. So this movie is very similar. It's about a dystopian world in which people around the world suddenly one day burst into flame. They each receive powers. So there's a man in Japan, a woman in Paris, a man in America, and they exhibit a mutation that allows them to burn other people alive. Basically, they all become like the X-Men, but just fire powers. So they become labeled as the Burnish, and then there's like riots, and there's like all sorts of crazy things going on. The opening is very emotional, very succinct, and very, very stylish. And 30 years after the Great Blaze, in which a whole bunch of people burned the Earth, we've rebuilt some of the Earth with the help of Clay Foresight. He is the governor whose inventions is able to fund a new world in which we can deal with the Burnish. So the Burnish are now organized as the Mad Burnish. They're like terrorists that like burn things alive. And then there's also the rescue team, which is our main character, Themos. He is a over-the-top firefighter. He's got his team, and they have these giant robot suits that help put out fires and things like that. And they have guns that shoot ice blocks to capture Burnish rebels. And there's also the Freeze Force. There's like they're like thick-necked robot suit cops that have heavy ice ordnance. So this movie is very stylish. It's really memorable, really over the top. It's dazzling action and direction, very dynamic, but I think in the second half it kind of loses itself in the plot, sort of. It goes too far. I don't know, it kind of loses itself in a way that we're starting off with like a dystopian future type rebel story, and then it quickly devolves into a giant mecha frenzy. And they like to do that thing where they introduce people with title cards, so it feels very comic book, but then they do it again at the end with mechas and different weapons and things like that, and it's like, it starts to lose itself a little bit. I mean, it starts off really interesting, but as the movie goes on, it feels like it wants to be more than just a movie. There's enough story here for an entire miniseries, but they managed to shove it all into a 30-minute climax. And yeah, there's dazzling color. The characters are a little bit on the thin side. There's this little rat creature that just hangs out and doesn't do anything. Yeah, and also Gallows' like team of like rescue team, they don't really do anything either. So overall, it's a really dazzling and eye-popping, visually stunning movie. Reminded me of like the Fifth Season, the book by N.K. Jemisin, and maybe mixed with Redline. But overall, it's style definitely over substance, because it almost feels like it's trying to be Gurren Lagann still. But that's fine. I mean, if you're into that, it's definitely memorable and worth checking out for the animation alone. And I definitely enjoyed it. It definitely held my attention. So I give Promare a 7.5 out of 10.